And we are. Oh, come on, you. And we are live. All right, everybody.
Straight play with your emotions,
Exactly.
man.
Thank you. Well, welcome, everybody. It's Sunday night, so you know what that means. It's time for B&T Sports Talk Show. Thank you for sticking in for our little technical, extra technical information, which nobody needed. Uh,
Nope.
Live, but we appreciate everybody for getting on. And if you're joining us for the first time, if you would like and subscribe, we would very much appreciate if you're joining. If you've been with us before and you've been in the chat and had some fun with us, then welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. So first, I want to start with a special guest. So just above me and right above my head, right here, is none other than Josh. So, Josh, I want you to tell us a little bit about you. We're happy to have you with us. What's up, man?
Yeah, thanks for having me, B&T. So you might have seen me in some of your YouTube comments, maybe in the past few weeks. My name
Yeah.
is Josh. Me and Brian go way back. We worked for the Giants way back in like 2000 or so, 2000, 2001, when Barry Bonds was
Yeah.
tearing it up. And then then we were roommates here in Hawaii, and before he went back to SF. So yeah, it's really great to to see how this goes. And I mean, I really enjoy you guys' content. So yeah, I'm happy to be here to talk about some college football.
Awesome, man. So we're gonna bring college football into the fold, and Josh is gonna help us do that. I gotta point out though, man, that's an impressive wall behind you. I gotta hear about it.
Oh, thank you.
There's a belt behind you.
Yeah.
What is that?
Oh yeah,
Let's hear
you
it.
see my belt? You see my belt right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, growing up, I was a big WWF fan, and then during the pandemic, man, it was all crazy. So I wanted like a project to do. So I call this my championship belt because I grew up in like public school system, and then I was fortunate to go to UCLA and then University of Michigan for my undergrad and grad. So this is like my little championship belt, and just kind of fun to have.
Awesome.
And exactly why I love college football. You know what I'm saying? Like going to Michigan was great, and then UCLA with the Rose Bowl was just like really cool.
Awesome. Awesome.
So, there's to kind of start the college football conversation. We all know that there's a huge debate what's better, either the NFL experience or the college football experience here. So you've been to a little bit of both here. You've seen a lot of big games. Um, your time at Michigan. Now we know Michigan holds about right roughly around 100,000 people in one stadium here. For those who have never been a part of that experience, explain that that kind of atmosphere with that many people inside of a stadium, all rooting for basically the same team there.
Wild. I mean, yeah, this is a good debate to have, like the NFL experience versus college. I mean, they're two completely different experiences. You know what I'm saying? So I've been to like plenty of NFL games, right? Like growing up in the Bay, going to like games at Candlestick, and then not so much at Levi's, but just kind of Candlestick, and like it's the NFL vibe is cool, right? Like it's like predictable. You know what's gonna happen. Like it's gonna be loud for sure. Like you're gonna see some good football. Like the crowd will be rowdy, but then I would say that is true for college, but then it's a little more extreme, right? So then like it depends also where you are in like like geography. Like think about the South, right? Like the SEC territory, like they're just nuts for football, right? And
Yeah.
then like because that's all they have. Like some of the SEC teams and Big Ten teams, right? Like they don't really have an NFL team, so like their team is college, right? So then like when I was at Michigan, like yeah, man, actually like average attendance was 110,000.
Wow.
So if you think of like where the Giants play right at Oracle, like I think that's like 40,000 max. So it's almost like two and a half times that, which is like just crazy. And then they have the
Yeah.
band playing, and then there's like tailgates, and it's just like really fun. And like, yeah, and then as you know, Brian's a Stanford fan, right? So then there's like each team, each college, each fan base has their own like fight song. So then they play those fight songs throughout the game, which is like pretty fun.
I'm not going to speak on my team's fight song because it ain't really a fight song, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
Well,
man.
we also have a crackhead tree.
Wow.
Yeah,
That mascot is weird. I do need. I would like
It's
to point that out.
weird.
It's a weird mascot, man.
bro, you should have seen it on full display on Saturday. I
I
can't even
mean,
describe it. I was just like, oh my god, this is our mascot. I
it's
fell in
bad.
love with this thing.
But Josh,
Um,
I gotta agree with you, man. I've attended a few college games. I've been to a couple of Cal games. My dad used to take me to Cal games, as young when I was younger, at UC Berkeley. And then also, I went to the Navy Army game, which was actually at the Giants' current stadium some years back. And then also I did San Jose State, whereas my dad's alma mater, when they played against Grambling. And so yeah, I think the atmosphere in the college game is completely different because it really does have a much more intimate feel to it. You're right, fans do get rowdy, but more or less, it really is more of like it's more like a family thing where everybody's rooting for their team, and so you get a lot of that. Whereas at Raider games, which I've been to, are awesome as well, but you'll get some Raider fans fighting each other, man. It don't
Oh yeah,
always go it don't
for
always
sure.
go according to plan. So, college game you could bring a kid to and have a great time. Some NFL games you really can't do that, or if you do, you
Yeah.
got to get them out of there midway through the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
right.
can't be in
Before
a black hole for sure with your kid.
No, 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 no,
when
not
the alcohol starts finding its way to the lower part of the body where it triggers the anger buttons, and then
that's right.
all hell will tend to break loose out
No,
there.
nobody's safe.
But let's get into the college football chat. So for those who don't know, and if you're new to college football, one, there is a ranking here. So they rank the top 25 teams in the best teams in the nation here. Now, generally, there is a trend where it's the same four teams over and over again. So this year, it started out with Alabama, which is consensus a small time NFL team. Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson. Those are your top four teams here. So those are just the normal, I would say. And then after that, it goes with Notre Dame, Texas A&M, Utah, Michigan, Oklahoma, Baylor, Oregon, Oklahoma State, NC State, USC, Michigan State, Miami, Pitt, Wisconsin, Arkansas, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Wake Forest, Cincinnati, Houston, and BYU is your top 25 here. So let's start with your team, Josh, the number 8 team of the nation, which is Michigan here.
Yes, sir.
Uh, has a coach in John Harbaugh,
No,
who
Jim.
is Jim,
Jim, for
whatever.
goodness sake, man.
Um,
That
I
was
know.
that was
I
your
can't.
boy
That
Sam,
was
man. How
that
do you not
that
know
was
that?
twice. That was twice on that there. So my bad on that one.
All right.
But let's talk about Michigan season now here. Now, obviously, they just got done beating Colorado State 51-7. Now, a lot of the D1 schools will play that really weak school to kind of boost that win, but also what people don't know is that they pay these schools to go to their home game to play in that. So Colorado State did get paid in this year. They never disclose the amount, but it's generally up in the millions for
Yep.
them to come here and basically get your ass whooped in front of 100,000 people here. So, Josh, as a Michigan fan, as a grad now, having Harbaugh coach his team for so long, we all know coaches generally don't stay so long because if you're not winning, you got to go. How
Yep.
has Harbaugh been able to maintain his job over at Michigan?
Well, last year, I mean, you're right. Like, I think Harbaugh underperformed, but the difference last year. So if you're unfamiliar with the college football, like kind of like system, like last year, Michigan actually beat Ohio State, which then meant that they were in the Big Ten Conference Championship game, which they won, which then allowed them to go to the college playoff, right? So I think that saved him, right? So like the fact that Michigan was able to like go to the college football playoff, even though they got they didn't do well. Like they got blown out against Georgia.
Yeah.
Uh, but like I think it showed like that they could perform and like this year like I think there's high stakes which we could talk about later. But it's kind of interesting because I think you guys even talked about like I think like NFL preseason and why there's so many preseason games and then like college football doesn't, right?
Yeah.
So like these first weeks, like the first 2 weeks, like usually for college football, like the big name teams like Michigan, Ohio State, what I'm saying, like Alabama, like yeah, they'll like schedule someone soft, typically, not all the time, but and then that's like their preseason almost. They call it like week 0 too. So like it's the way they could like test out kinks and stuff like that.
Well, let's put this in perspective. So next week, Michigan plays Hawaii.
Yep.
If anyone can guess, if there's anyone in the chat right now, if you can guess, what is Hawaii's percentage to win this game this coming week here. And I'm going to
Oh, the
tell you
spread.
this: it's a number
Spread.
you can you no, not even the spread,
Oh,
just the percentage. The Power Football Index on what they have as far as Hawaii winning is 0.3%. They have Hawaii going to Michigan to beat
Wow.
them. So there's a
Point three
0.3%
percent. That
to
wasn't even worth it. I mean, they might as well
I
have
feel
just
that's
said
but
like
1% just because.
I know. Is
I've
that
never
like
seen
worse
that
than
before.
Appalachian State percentages? I feel Appalachian State might have had a better chance.
Appalachian State probably had a better chance that year. Hawaii is 0-2 right now
Wow.
against. They're
So
terrible
so
right
we
now.
talking we talking
Yeah, I know
60.
Michigan is like 50 point favorites next week.
Yeah.
50 and a half points is the spread.
Okay, okay.
Dude, man, that gets me, man. So it's like it's about it, basically this is gonna be 63-3,
And maybe
65 to 14. I mean, it's gonna be bad. That sounds rough.
so. So check this out. This is interesting too, because Jim Harbaugh obviously was like played for he was coach for the Niners, right? So like he there's a dilemma at Michigan right now, right? Like there's a senior quarterback, and he's like really good. His name is McNamara. I can never say his name. It's like McNamara.
Neither can
Uh,
I.
yeah,
The dude,
McNamara.
yeah.
And he's a senior, but then there's a sophomore that's coming up, and he's actually like pretty good. So like, so this for week one at Michigan, Harbaugh started the senior, and then week two against Hawaii, he's starting the
Mm.
sophomore. So like, they haven't solidified their quarterback situation. So since there's no preseason, this is how he's trying to figure out who's going to be starter moving forward, which is kind of interesting.
It's very, very interesting to say the least on how that's played out
Yeah,
there.
well, I mean, if you're
Yeah,
playing some really soft teams to start the season, I guess that's why. I mean,
right.
he probably knows. Look, I can either yank the kid, or I'm pretty sure if I didn't have a quarterback at all, I could still beat this team by 20.
Yeah,
20,
it's like
20, 20 the
yeah.
easiest.
No, yeah, it's really. I mean, I don't know if we want to get into the NFL preseason versus like the college football week one and two, but I think it's going to change. Like especially like with the college football playoff, plus the realignments that's occurring. I don't think we're going to have a lot of these like soft schedules in a couple years. I don't know what you think, Brian. Like will Stanford still play Colgate University, the like toothpaste, whatever? Like, I'm saying
Toothpaste University.
like toothpaste
Look,
university.
Stanford set up that Colgate game because they knew they were going to lose 7 games in a row dating back to last season. So they got to get off the schneid at some point there. But Josh, you're right with the way things get realigned here, and that's what we're going to get into shortly. Here is a conference realignment. Is basically you're going to have schools jumping ship now because one, money gets involved, TV networks get involved, and then now here come the big time matchups here. So um, the times of big time schools playing small schools is going to basically disappear after
I
this.
think so.
It's not going to happen because in order to make the playoffs,
You got to win,
you have
and
to
you got to
win.
win
But
like quality games.
they look at the strength of schedule here, so they look at it and they're like, oh well, this Alabama played. Alabama's not a fair team to use here. Let's use Stanford for existence, right? So say Stanford lost a game, right? But they look at their strength of schedule, but they have a team like Colgate on there that they blew out. They're gonna look at that and look at another team with one loss and go, hold on, they lost to Alabama, but yet they played in the toughest conference as well. We're gonna give you guys a shot to get in. That you have to place tough teams right off the bat in order for it to work. So that's why you're going to see more. In my mind, an NFL structure schedule to NCAA to get this money revenue started here. I think that's how it's going to play out.
Now, I have a question for you guys. I mean, the college situation with NCAA and the vast amount of teams that are playing at that D1 level makes it so that it's very, very difficult for them to create a system that really, place can really crown a champion, right? Every
Yeah.
other sport you kind of single it down to conference or this, and then the winner from that conference, so on and so forth. But the NCAA, with especially specifically with football, you have this ranking system, which is kind of odd. Um, I mean, there's so much money involved in this, but I just kind of as someone who has watched it from the outside looking in, do you see that ever changing? Like, for instance, do you see there becoming a time where they just go, how many conferences are there? We're going to extend the amount of playoff teams to the total number of, whatever conferences or whatever it is, and have a representative from each region play for the ultimate prize, or is it always going to be this ranking system?
So I'll start, Brian, and then feel free to like chime in. So I feel like okay, so it's evolved, right? So it's evolved, and I think it's better now than what it was 20 years ago, right? Because I don't know if you guys remember, but in the early 2000s and stuff, it was called the BCS era, the Bowl Championship era, and at
Mm-hmm.
that point, it was just like a computer. It was like computers that had these formulas, and then that dictated the one and two, and that was it. Remember that?
Yeah.
it, it
Yep.
was like it was like the presidential races.
That's right. Yep. It was exactly,
It
there was
was
two
just
options.
like that.
Yep.
It was weird, right? It was weird.
Yep.
And then so now there's a 14 playoff, right? So that I think that's better, but yes, it's based on rankings. But actually, what just broke on Friday is that starting in at least 2026, but they said it could go as soon as 2024, 2025. There's gonna be a 12-team playoff. The six highest ranked conference champions from that will then earn an automatic bid, and then there'll be six at large. So then, yeah, so it's that's I think that's a better system.
Yeah.
I think the question becomes because I don't know if you guys like college basketball, like March Madness, right?
Yeah.
There's actual committee, right? There's like a formulated committee that determines all those rankings, right? So maybe college football will go that way because there's like over 150 D1 teams. So like unless there's like major conference realignments that take place where there's like a West, South, East, North, Midwest, and like something else, right? Where there's like a true 16 one, then they'll play each other. Then we could do away with rankings. But unless that happens, I don't think there probably needs to be a ranking. But
Yeah.
what do you think, Brian?
I think it's going to be perfect like that. I told Taj this, when we were first getting the show started, but I was tired of watching the same four teams
Yep.
playing the national championship playoffs every single time. And if you look at the rankings right now, those are the same four teams that are in it basically every single time. Now, last year Cincinnati got in, but there was such a debate about Cincinnati getting in because of their strength of schedule. They were going to take another power conference team and throw them ahead of it,
Yep.
but Cincinnati went undefeated, won their conference, won the conference championship, and they almost still couldn't get in. So this allows that to happen here, in that aspect. But I think college is going to get this right because it's like I said, this is now turning into the NFL. There's 12. It's a 12-team playoff now.
Yep.
Your top teams are getting their automatic bids. That's a week off. But then after that, it's going to be a playoff system after that. But what's going to hurt the system into that is you may lose your conference championship games. You may get a shortened season outside of that as well, because when you look at it, 12 teams to finish in January, the whole month of December is playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
for
much.
sure.
Yeah.
Outside of that. So you're going to take a hit, but this is where the NCAA could really make money, not only for TV-wise, but for school-wise. Your highest conference is going to have to host a home game for the first time around. And then as soon as you get to the semifinals into the championships, then the NFL can start hosting these games like they generally do here for larger venues here. So
You already know what's going to happen, man. It's going to be it's good. They're going to have a sponsor for one whole round in some stadium.
Yeah.
That's probably what will end up happening.
Sure.
Yeah, just kind of like they do.
The Pepsi Bowl.
Yeah, there you go. Just like they do with basketball,
So-
there'll probably be
Yeah.
something similar to that.
exactly. So before we transition to your other school on UCLA, Josh, with Michigan in the Big Ten, where does Michigan season end this year for Harbaugh? And is here?
So yeah, I thought about it. So I looked at their schedule, right? So I think best case Michigan goes 11-1, and like they have a pretty decent first like 2 month schedule, but then you know what I'm saying, like for Michigan and the Big Ten is like Ohio State is always like up there, right? Michigan State is always tough, and then Penn State are always like those are the toughest teams generally speaking. So I think Michigan best case could go 11-1. They lose to Ohio State or Michigan State just because that's a rivalry game. You know what I'm saying? Like those games, like it almost doesn't matter. Like you throw the record, truly throw the records out, and people are just like, it's just a brawl. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty crazy. But I think Michigan goes 10-2. I think they go 10-2. And if you look at Ohio State and Notre Dame, like they just played yesterday, so Ohio State was 2, Notre Dame was 5. Notre Dame actually put up a good fight, and like they almost beat Ohio State at home. So I think Ohio State probably won't be as good, you know what I'm saying, as they were years before. I don't know if you guys, if Brian, did you see that game, the Ohio State game?
I caught a little bit of it here, dude. I was just more starstruck about the amount of NFL pros that were out there. LeBron James was on the sidelines.
Oh
Bronny
yeah,
James was on the
Right.
sideline. Jerome
Yep.
Bettis, Ezekiel Elliott, Joe Burrow. Dude, like it was like the who's who out there for week one of a college football game. But there's that NFL experience. I don't see Michigan. Michigan's schedule is just too soft in my eyes here. I mean, when you look at their schedule here, their first 4 games
yep,
are Colorado State, Hawaii, Yukon, Maryland. Right, so in between there, it's too much of a cushion schedule there. And then they go back to back with Penn State, Michigan State, and
yep.
then ended, of course, with Ohio State, which is called the game. I think they lose all 3 of those. I think it's a 10-3 record for them. Um, and I don't think Harbaugh. I don't think Harbaugh has to win a national championship this year in order for him to stay the head coach at Michigan. But I don't see that happening, and I think Michigan's going to be looking for a new coach after this year here because they can't go this long without winning one here as that program goes.
So you think they'll lose to Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan State?
Yep, absolutely. Well, hold
I mean,
on.
if he goes 0-3 against those, he's for sure out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't lose. Yeah, there's no way. Like if you lose again to those 3 teams, like I think he's done. I don't think it's gonna happen though. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think he's gonna lose to one of them for sure, but not all 3.
You have very crass aspirations for your coach there, sir.
We'll see.
Jim will be coaching the Jacksonville Jaguars next year.
Oh my god.
That may work. He's got a good quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. He loves a good quarterback. It's not a bad. That's not a bad landing destination.
All that long, pretty hair.
What do you think about Urban Meyer though? Is he gonna stay?
Urban Meyer's not the coach there anymore.
He's not the coach
No,
anymore.
he got 86 real quick, man.
Oh, he got
86 so fast for being a bully to everyone else.
Apparently, college coaches are corrupt. So when he went to the NFL and he tried to do things, there were more eyes on him because I think college coaches are under the protection of the college for the most part.
Yeah.
But when you're out in the NFL, you've got eyes on you, you got cameras on you, you've got more exposure to the press on a higher level because you're no longer in this position, this stature of excellence where you're helping these young men succeed. Now you're just a coach making millions and millions of dollars coaching grown men. So yeah, they caught him in some stuff. He had some extramarital things that were caught on tape.
Oh, that's right.
And he wasn't doing a very good job as a coach because he was missing in action as a coach and had pretty much soiled a lot of the relationships with the ownership and the players. So yeah, it didn't work out at all. Man. It was bad.
He wanted that first NFL paycheck. He was like, all right, I'm out, y'all.
Yeah.
I thought that was right.
Yep.
But let's digress to the Pac-12 side of things because you are a UCLA fan, and once again, Chip Kelly, who was once the coach of the Ducks and ruined the Niners, is now going to UCLA to ruin that team over there as well. So, you guys are the UCLA Bruins and USC are leaving the Pac-12 to go to the Big Ten to join that unnecessary conference.
It's awesome.
This is the last year of UCLA in the Pac-12. So with that being said, looking at the schedule here, how does UCLA kind of hold their ground in in the Pac-12 here.
Well, actually, so 2 more years. We got 2 more years in Pac.
Oh, that's
So
right. Yeah, it's only
yeah.
2022. Sorry.
2023 will be the last year that SC and UCLA are in the Pac. Before, and so beginning of 2024 season is when then they'll start at the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So we got 2 more years. But yeah, I was actually looking at the preseason rankings according to SI, and this is crazy because I don't know, like Utah was ranked 7. They got blown out. Well, I think they got blown out, but they lost to Florida, and
They
Florida
lost
was
by
like
a touchdown.
Yeah, they lost by 3, but they were unranked. So I know Utah is going to drop big time, right? And then Oregon, let's see, Oregon was ranked 11, and they played number 3 Georgia, and they got blown out. So like, I think yesterday Pac-12 just got demolished on a national stage.
They got they got the brakes beat off of them last night. That was great to watch. 49-3.
Yeah,
Change their name to the Patch 12.
The Patch 12.
It was not good for the Pac, man. So that's why I was thinking. I don't know what you think, Brian, but like, with the conference realignment stuff, like, I mean, and San Diego State also just got a new stadium. They just opened it with a new stadium just this past year. Yesterday was their first game. So I almost think that San Diego State might be a new Pac school.
Well, they gotta figure it out, because if they allow USC and UCLA to walk, was not to say there's going to be other teams that go, well, we need to make money too somehow, some way. Yeah. How do we do this? And so you may see more teams kind of leave like that as well. But you may try to get some teams here, but like we kind of talked about earlier, there's just going to be a super conference now. There's going to be 4 divisions, about 80 to 130 schools. So do 130, divide that by 4.
that's how. But even that's too much.
It's too much, but eventually it's got to get to that point there, because in order for there to be a balance, you have to have a true balance, because now everything goes to the Big Ten. SEC and Big Ten are now bigger schools making bigger money, and then here's your other conference schools who aren't making that same amount of money. But to go back to your Bruins, and by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, UCLA had a practice field that was only 80 yards. So if you ever wondered why they couldn't score a touchdown, it's because they weren't playing on a 100-yard football field.
Can you believe it, guys? Like, T, can you believe it?
I mean, I don't see the point in practicing on a smaller than average field. So basically, got guys running sprints on an 80-yard field. the poor wide receiver that catches the 50-yard pass, gets to the 20-yard line, and just poops his pants and falls down. I mean, that's what you're looking at.
I think it was something like goal 10, 20. And it goes like 40, then 50, and then it goes 30, 20, 10. And it's like, what the heck? It's like, come on, man.
How much does an extra 10 yards cost on each end? I mean, I don't know.
I think that's why they left the Pac, because Big Ten is going to offer so much more money. Maybe they could finally get a 100-yard field.
But let's talk about UCLA's schedule here. So they just got done beating the Bowling Green 45-17.
Absolutely.
They've got, for some reason, they wanted to play 2 Alabama schools.
Yeah.
So they got Alabama State, South Alabama, and then they play all of the Pac-12 after that. So this is the topic right here. If UCLA is trying to make an effort to get into a playoff spot, if I was on the committee and I looked at those first 3 games and there was another undefeated team that had a stronger schedule, I can't say that UCLA earned that because of who they played in their non-conference games, which is basically, I've never heard of these schools before outside of Bowling Green. So with that record, with South Alabama and Alabama State, let's say they go to 3-0 here. So now you got Colorado, Washington, Utah, Oregon, my Cardinal, Arizona State, Arizona, SC, and California. With that, how do you see UCLA's schedule playing out?
So honestly, I think this could be the year, and I keep on saying that. But again, just because of our strength of schedule. right? Like it gives us a chance. Okay, because let's be real. If Chip Kelly can't beat Alabama State and Southern Alabama, I mean, dude, you know what I'm
I
saying? We saw what he did to the Niners, right? Like, so he'll be out. If you can't beat those two, they're out. But they're gonna beat him, and this is why. Because now we have a senior quarterback, DTR. Um, so I don't know if you guys heard, like his name is like Jernell Thompson Robinson. I mean,
we'll stick to DTR. That was a
yeah,
lot.
DTR. Like he's really good. He's fast. He could throw the ball like really fast, but he's a good option quarterback too. And then we also have a senior running back, Shamanad. So like I feel like it's set up so that at least this year we have a chance to go 10-2. I think best case we go 10-2.
10-2.
I got to make sure I interrupt to
Yes.
just chat it, drop in with the chat. So we got a Aloha Josh from none other than Miss Birdie Lay.
Oh,
Hello.
there's
Aloha.
Mama
there's
Birdie's
there's
in the
my
chat,
mama.
y'all. Mama Birdie's in the
Yes,
chat.
she is.
Oh, hello. I miss her
Good one.
tamales. I miss her tamales.
So you're saying that UCLA is beating Stanford on
Oh, yeah.
Halloween weekend?
Yeah, which Brian and I are going to. So we'll be going. I'm gonna make a trip out to the Rose Bowl. So it's a
Oh.
Halloween weekend.
Oh, that sounds dope, man.
It's gonna be a terrible time for Josh during that time. I'm telling you.
Great. It'll be great.
It's okay. You can
So-
wear a mask. Nobody will know who you are. It's
Fine.
Halloween.
Paper bag.
All right, so let's look forward to next week's schedule here. Now there are some really big matchups here, so we'll get everyone's input. Now remember, you're just guessing just as much as we are, but I'm gonna find the big games to kind of poke to see what we can predict here. So let's start with the obvious one: Alabama at Texas. Going into the Longhorn State. I'll start with you, Taj. Just out of your bag, who would you pick? Alabama's ranked number 1. Texas doesn't have a rank to it. Who would you pick?
I mean, I'm starting to get into it, so I forget, so forgive me, America. I'm trying to get into the NCAA and watching football, but I have seen Alabama play many, many times, and I know how this ends. So I don't think that Texas is going to beat Alabama. Alabama isn't going to be losing. Alabama doesn't lose games unless it's to a local SEC team. So no.
That's a good point right
Yeah.
there. Absolute good point there. Josh, who would you take with Alabama and Texas?
I mean, Alabama's 20-point favorites right now. I think they'll cover that for sure.
I'm gonna go different. There
Okay.
is will hiccup one game. This is the game he hiccups.
All right.
I'm taking Texas in this here because it's one of those games where it's like, yes, you are expecting it, but don't sleep on Texas because they were hot to start the season last year, and this is kind of a big game for this school here. So I would take Texas over
Interesting.
Alabama on that one.
I mean,
there.
do you have some inside knowledge? Is there like an old chicken sandwich that's been sitting in Nick Saban's fridge for 30 days? He's going to pull out and eat it for the game, or
Matthew
what's going on?
McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey's a big Texas fan, so he'll be in full support of that right there.
Oh, great! We'll get to see him do donuts in his Buick in the middle of the field. That's awesome.
I know this one doesn't scream out on the board, but this is a really good one here. Florida just coming off of beating Utah. They now get Kentucky, who's the number 20 team in the nation. So here's our first SEC matchup, Kentucky at Florida. Who would you take in this?
Yeah, I'm going.
I mean, I would take Florida because they just beat number 7 Utah. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a huge upset. I think Florida could beat 20 Kentucky for sure.
Who would you take, T?
Oh man, I think I'm gonna go with Kentucky, man. I think Florida had a nice win against Utah to start, but it's Utah, baby. You know what I'm saying? It's Utah, whatever. So I think gonna go up against a ranked team that's not a high ranked team, so it's a team that's probably still competing and not expecting anything, or expecting to win a championship or anything like that. They're just competing. So the hope is that it's a close game, but my money's on Kentucky.
Ooh,
Wow.
I like that.
Hey.
Shit, I'll piggyback off of that. That was a big win for Florida. If I don't know if they have 2 in a row in their body there, I would say Kentucky goes in there and upsets Florida. I don't know why that's an upset, but I would take that. I would
Yeah.
take that as well there. Um, Josh, do you have a game that is on your radar as a big time game?
Well, I mean, I'll go to your USC Stanford game. I mean that's an early Pac-12 rivalry game. You know what I'm saying? Week 2, 14 ranked Stanford. I'm sorry, 14 ranked SC, which
Yeah, we ain't
you know,
we ain't ranked.
Dang.
We're
Yeah,
not
no.
ranked.
Dang, that was cold, Josh. That was cold.
I know. That was,
Damn,
I know.
just threw fire in there like that. My God.
yeah, Stanford was ranked 14 like 5 years ago.
3 years ago. Take it easy there, okay? 3 years
Okay.
ago.
I'm actually surprised that SC's only 10-point favorites. That's so that they're saying then that Stanford might like keep it close. I think Stanford will keep it close, but I think SC will win. If I were to play the points, I'll give Stanford the
You
9.5.
hear that, UCLA fans? Bruin just went with the Trojans. Think about that.
Whatever. I mean, I hope they lose. I don't think they're gonna lose.
Oh
Who
man.
They
you
actually
got,
look
T?
really good. SC look really good because they have the new coach now, and then the Khalid Williams, right? Khalid Williams, the transfer. Like they all came from where'd they come from?
Oklahoma.
Yeah, from Oklahoma. So it's a different SC team. It's different.
So you thought about my Colgate team was bad? They played a school named after a food, Rice.
Rice.
Yeah, SC played Rice.
Yeah,
An
They played Rice.
actual bowl of rice. That was-
an actual bowl of rice.
Exactly.
T, who are you taking in this matchup?
Man, I'm flipping the coin, man. I don't know. Well, I guess I'm gonna go with
Flip that
I'm gonna go
coin.
with the ranked team, man. I'm gonna go with SC. I mean, from what you've been saying, B, it sounds like Stanford. We should change their name to Sanford and Son. You know, so there's.
Hold on. There's already a team out there called Sanford.
Oh.
They be throwing me off sometimes. If you
It's
don't
true,
read it
it's true.
properly, be like, "Oh, that's
My
Sanford."
bad.
Oh no, that's Sanford.
That's
My bad.
Sanford and okay, my bad. I guess I can't use that material then. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the ranked team on that. You know, Stanford was once a great friend, a great ball club for quite some time. So hopefully, y'all start going to some of these hood schools and getting y'all some good talent. All right.
Oh, trust me, we pulled out of Compton.
Hey,
Richard
y'all,
Sherman
you
was from
better.
Compton.
Shoot.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Well, I'm not going to give my pick because that's going to be pretty obvious here. But do not sleep on E.J. Smith Jr. That is the son of the great Dallas running back Emmitt Smith. His son is the starting running back at Stanford.
Okay.
They got their entire wide receiving core back. The defense is always suspect, but I think this will be a high shootout game. So I'm taking my Cardinal, of course, to upset those dirty condoms from Southern California that call themselves the Trojans.
Oh my god.
So if anyone's a Trojan fan, that's unfortunate because you guys are the reason why condoms had to be invented and still do not work.
So you're saying because you beat Toothpaste University yesterday, you're gonna beat SC next week?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because they didn't have to play their starters. So
Okay.
our starters get to play for most of the game against SC. And we didn't have to show anything. It was perfect.
Fair enough.
Okay, we'll see.
But Josh, you got anything on the NCAA level you want to cover before we switch it off here?
No, just I think like as like conference. So like I think just a couple things on my note. So next year actually the Big 12. So that right now there's gonna be 3 major conferences, and it's gonna start next year because next year Big 12 expands to 4 additional teams. Big 12 is gonna have BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF, which are like those are like decent programs. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not powerhouses, but they're decent programs. So that's gonna be 2023. 2024, UCLA USC will go to Big 10. And then in 2025, the SEC will have Oklahoma and Texas. So I have a feeling like in the next year or two, there's going to be like major changes, right? So like at least there's going to be 3 major conferences. And then like who knows with this 4th conference, which might be like ACC, like Pac-12, maybe in Mountain West. Like, there's gonna have to be some kind of shifting that occurs there. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
there's gonna be a lot of changes for sure.
Yeah, those conferences are going to change up. So I think by 2028 you'll see a whole new different level of college football kind of starting to take place here. More of an NFL style
I think so.
kind of regime there.
Yeah.
So that was cool. But we appreciate you coming on, Josh. We really do, man. All the way from Hawaii. Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad you're doing good out there, my brother. Good luck to your schools. I would be okay with Michigan, but you know how I feel about Los Angeles and UCLA. So
I understand.
we won't get into that so much. But we appreciate you having on, kind of talking insight on college football and what you believe here, man. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Happy to join
Thanks a
in.
lot, Josh. We appreciate it, man.
Wu Tang.
All right, man.
We'll to clip that. That's how he wanted to come
I
out.
see why that's how he wants to go out, man.
He dropped a Wu Tang and
Wu
said
Tang
peace.
forever. Wu Tang forever.
But hey, let's pick things up in the NBA world here, T. We had a big thing happen. I know it doesn't sound huge to a lot of people, but this really changed a lot of ways teams look are basically being finalized now. Donovan Mitchell surprised
Yep.
everyone going over to Cleveland when he made everyone think, or at least the Knicks made us think, that he was coming to New York. So, give me your input on how you feel on where this on how this kind of developed, the reports that are out there. The Cavs must have been under the radar with that
Yeah, so
there.
man, I think we talked about this, and one thing was, I was telling you, like, man, this dude Wojnarowski, I mean, come on now, he ain't doing his job because I'm watching him on ESPN one day say how the Knicks, after extending R.J. Barrett, were still going to be in the conversation to pick up, or at least attempt to acquire Donovan Mitchell, and that was ideal and that there was some traction there and blah blah blah, and then the next day he gets traded to the Cavaliers, who no one had talked about him going to the Cavaliers. I don't remember hearing any reports, some small reports in the beginning, but I don't remember hearing anything with good traction that said that Donovan Mitchell was going
No,
to the Cavs. So first off, the NBA reporting this offseason has been atrocious. Nothing about anything that has been said is actually coming to fruition. There's been no Kyrie to the Lakers trade. There's been no Kevin Durant trade, which of course that's Durant's fault. He's the one that asked for a trade. And
yeah,
the biggest trade before the Donovan Mitchell trade was the Utah Jazz trading Gobert to the Timberwolves, which was barely reported on. So, I mean, ESPN, let's start earning your money, people. Adrian Wojnarowski, pick it up, bro. You're failing
well,
right now.
you know what's funny? Like Woj is normally on top of these trades too. Like
Yeah,
he is generally,
yeah, no,
when
generally,
he
yeah, I
says
agree.
something, it's true.
Yeah,
He lied to us this
yeah.
year,
This
son of a
time, I don't
bitch.
know what happened, man. But just to get back to the the trade itself, and kudos to Utah. Kudos to, excuse me, the Cavs for coming out of left field and making a play
Yeah,
that the Knicks wouldn't. However, how did the Knicks let this happen? How did the Knicks not get Donovan Mitchell after being such a woeful franchise in such a big market for the past, what is it, 10 to almost 15 years? They had
hmm
to make this trade. And I think ultimately they chose R.J. Barrett over Donovan Mitchell, and by extending him. And I just think it was a dumb move. I think they should have gave Utah whatever it was they were asking for, unprotected picks, whatever. Because in the long run, what is New York going to do with those draft picks? Really? What have they done with
exactly.
all the first round draft picks they've had over the past 10 years? They haven't drafted a big name player, I mean, since Kristaps Porzingis, and even that didn't work out. So I really think it's done. I really feel bad for all the Knicks fans that their team is just fumbling the ball into their own end zone at this point, and they really missed a great opportunity to pick up a player that they could really market in New York, that they could really build around, and really put together a team that could maybe not win a championship, but it could at least be in the top 5 teams in the East. So, come on, New York. You know, as mad as I am at the Lakers for being just piss poor in management wise, the Knicks take the cake. I mean, they had to make that trade.
Well, I don't feel bad for New York one bit here, just because it's New York. So I don't feel bad for them. I think this is great for Cleveland here. Their roster wasn't bad. They
No,
were
it
in the
wasn't.
play-in tournament not to this past season, and no one was expecting that from them at all. When you look at their lineup here, you've got Jared Allen, who's a great shot blocker, Garland, and Donovan Mitchell running the point.
Mobley.
That is going to be a
Yep,
very
and
good.
Mobley. Yep.
Evan Mobley up there as well. But here's where it's going to fall under the radar here. Now, this roster has a chance to change, beforehand. Let me talk about the backup point guard position. Who do you keep? You have Ricky Rubio, or do you stay with Rajon Rondo as your
I think
backup?
I think Rondo's gone. I think the
Yeah.
Cavs don't need the training wheels, point guard to help them run sets anymore. I think Darius Garland proved that he is the point guard, and he's going to be seeing the bulk of the minutes. And I think that's going to take away from a guy like Rajon Rondo, who was previously, they're not going to have enough minutes to go around. So I think you've got your vet in Ricky Rubio, who was having a pretty good season before he got injured last season. So I think Rondo ends up going. He ends up going to another team that's already in playoff contention just to offer 10 to 15 minutes a game. I just don't see his. He's not going to have as much of an impact unless unless Rondo becomes more of a coach and starts being more of a player assistant type, coach who's on the sidelines helping get guys, knowledge, give guys the knowledge, and being a glue guy, a veteran glue guy for their team.
Yeah, I like the roster setup for this year. I think they're going to compete in the mid pack of the East now with Donovan Mitchell. They're not a top 4 team. Now they could shock us with the development because you have a sophomore season for Evan Mobley, which will be big for him this year. But then you're also going to have Darius Garland. How does his game elevate now with Donovan Mitchell a part of this team here? So that's going to be interesting to say the least. I think they make the playoffs. I don't think they have to worry about a play-in tournament this year. I think they finish top 6 in the East, but I don't think they're in the top 4. So they'll be right there. But this is a good sign for Cleveland outside of, because they really didn't have much after the championship run, there. So for Donovan Mitchell to go to Cleveland to kind of put the weight on his shoulders to help carry Cleveland, I think he's got a good supporting cast, better than he had in Utah.
Yeah, and man, I'm telling you, the amount of young talent that they have is incredible. So I think you're right. They're going to be a good team. Man, if I could see a first or second round and they end up beating the Nets next year, me and you are going to have a little party on our show.
Oh, man, am I going to lay into that one
man,
there?
I know you. I'm ready, man. That's going to be good because, in my opinion, if these guys are young and they're hungry, they don't even know what they're doing. But the combination of Jared Allen and Donovan Mitchell playing off of each other, and then you have Darius Garland who's going to help facilitate. You got guys who can knock down shots. You got Mobley who can rebound, who can get to the rim, who can score in his own regard in the post, and even can knock down a shot from deep now and again. You got a team that can do a lot of different things, and I think that's the type of team with that type of flexibility offensively can really pose some serious problems for if you go past the best two teams in the league or in the East at least, which is in my opinion is the Celtics and the Bucks. After that, it's open season. There isn't a clear definitive team after you get past those two. So I think Cleveland has a real chance to be that number 3 team. And I think the Nets are going to be the Nets. I mean, they've already had Kevin Durant, Kyrie for a couple of years now, and they haven't really been able to do anything. I don't know if Ben Simmons adds any real value to them. So I think the Cavs will be in the top 5, somewhere between 3 and 5 in my opinion.
Yeah, and it was not to say during the season that's not a trade destination for someone to go to with that talent there as well. We've all seen with good young talent, you get a really good vet to come to come help that team out. But I think coaching wise as well, it's also going to come down to that there. But the talent's there for them now, so now it's just all about kind of putting that together. This could be a breakout season, and then going forward, oh, I'm catching a cramp mid fucking, oh, America, somebody help me! I've got a cramp.
Man,
Oh,
okay,
I just had
so
a Charles Barkley
I'm gonna
moment.
let
Oh,
I'm gonna let B writhe in pain while I make fun of his ass. So you're
woo!
old when you catching cramps sitting down, people. When you catching cramps sitting down, you ain't even doing anything.
Yo, I'm just sitting
The
here drinking water, trying to talk sports, and I'm catching cramps.
the only thing he moving is his mouth, folks, and he
And
caught
I
a
caught
cramp
a
in his
cramp.
leg.
Holy shnikes, man! That was painful just now. My God,
Oh my god.
I don't even want to rub my hamstring because it's
Oh
gonna look
man.
like I'm doing something fucking perverted on this show. So I'm
Hey
good
man,
right now, man.
that
Oh, that was painful just
hey,
now.
I'm clipping that. Josh Wu Tang exit and you catching a cramp. This has been show of the year. Seriously, that was that was amazing.
That was dope. That was crazy. But
oh,
for just to kind of before we move on, just to touch is look at the draft picks Utah was able to develop.
oh man,
Unprotected
yeah,
picks.
yeah.
They have first round picks so far out their butt right now. Like them and the Thunder all picked up a ton of first round
Yep.
picks. They better get it done right. If they want to compete, this is the time to get it done. Remember, you don't have to draft with those picks. If you want someone, you have collateral to be able to use that as as your thing there. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Jazz and the Thunder do with all these draft picks. Do they try to bring in talent, or do they draft and try to build through all of that there? But that'd be a little interesting there, and
Yep.
it may even help your team out, sir.
Well, and we're actually that's a good transition because I'm going to talk about the Lakers next. But um, you know, Utah has Danny Ainge, and Danny Ainge has shown that he's pretty good at drafting. He drafted Brown, he drafted Marcus Smart, he drafted Jason Tatum. So I have a lot of faith in him that he's going to make the right plays in Utah because they're going to have to draft. They're not going to be able to get people to come and play in Utah. That's how they're going to build their team. And after getting 4 picks from the Timberwolves and then another 3 picks from the Knicks is amazing because those two teams are not going to be that great. Even at their best, they're going to
Nope.
be mid to the bottom of the playoffs, and so those draft picks are going to actually be worth something. So kudos to them for that. But as far as the impact on the Lakers, so the Lakers spent all this time talking about, or there's been reporting about the Lakers being involved in a 3-team trade involving Donovan Mitchell going to the Knicks and them getting some players from Utah. So of course the Lakers poached Patrick Beverly away for a young talented player that Utah was happy to take. But all in all, what this has done is really taken that play off the table for the Lakers. They're not going to be able to trade Russell Westbrook as a part of that 3-team trade. So now they're really
Yep.
stuck with just the 2 first-round draft picks that they have. And I don't think there's a team out there that's really going to take Russell Westbrook's contract and not take both of those picks at the same time. So they're really in a tight spot, man. I think the Lakers are in a position now with only a month out, less than about a month out from training camp, that they're going to have to face the music that they will be walking into the beginning of the season with Russell Westbrook on the roster. And I mean, I don't know if there's any other Laker fans listening, but as I'll tell you right now, as a Laker fan, that is not what I want to hear. I am not interested in Russell Westbrook being on the floor. I'm not trying to hate on him as a player, but damn it, it does not work. Um, LeBron needs to have the ball in his hand 80% of the time. That's how LeBron teams work. We can't add non-shooters to the starting lineup with LeBron on the floor. You got to contribute
Yeah.
something. Russell Westbrook's a good all-time and will be a Hall of Fame player, but at this stage in his career, he is a average to below average defender and a below average shooter. I can't do nothing with that. So I know I'm really hoping that they figure this out. The Lakers have made some very stupid moves this past offseason or the previous offseason. I thought they've made some questionable moves by letting Alex Caruso go and not re-signing him and keeping Taylor Horton Tucker and giving him more money. Now they've traded away Taylor Horton Tucker for Patrick Beverly. What was that? Same thing with the Russell Westbrook trade. They already had Buddy Hield on pretty much under ready to go to the Lakers for Kyle Kuzma and Montrezl Harrell, and instead they trade both of those guys and KCP and 2 first-round draft picks for Russell Westbrook, and then turn around and want to trade Russell Westbrook for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. So it's
Yeah.
just it's stupidity all the way around. It's just bad management, and they're just making very poor decisions from a personnel standpoint. And the GM has to do a better job and get some of this under control because, in my opinion, if Russell Westbrook is back on the floor in a Laker uniform, and you can quote me on this, the Lakers will be a play-in team at best. A play-in team at best.
Woo!
I don't think unless Russell Westbrook is benched, but if he's in the starting lineup and he's playing like if he's playing a lion's share of the minutes like he did last year, they're going to be a playing team, and that's just because they don't have any shooting. The Lakers haven't solved the biggest problem they've had,
I
shooting.
need you to.
They
I need
have
you to clip that
no
for me, please.
no shooters,
I
no
need you to
shooters. Yeah.
clip that for me, please, as well. Here, I would
And
love to save
hey
that
man,
there.
hey look, I'm just being honest, and any person that's watched the NBA knows you have to have 3-point shooters to space the floor. The Lakers have zero. We have none. The person that shot the most three was LeBron. Most threes was LeBron James. After that, we don't have anybody that shoots the three ball at all. So it's
Hmm.
embarrassing, man. So they got to go fix that out. They got to go fix that.
It's too late. I don't think we're gonna hear much from the NBA after this. I think it's pretty much.
Yeah, training
I
camp,
think
baby,
this was.
preseason.
I think this was the last thing. Training camp is about to take place,
Yeah,
and I really don't see any names kind of getting moved until the trade deadline going forward
yeah.
now. So get your zero jerseys ready because here they come.
All right,
Um,
drunk. Join in the chat. What's up, drunk? How you doing, man?
Shit, what's up, drunk?
So we got drunk with 695. 695. What is that? Is that how much? That's how much the Lakers paid for or paying for players now.
Oh
Lakers
yeah,
running a
you kind of
nursing
elaborate on
home.
that one.
Yeah. Well, the Lakers got a little bit younger, but ultimately, yeah, Patrick Beverly at this stage in his career is not the guy. He could probably give you a good 15 minutes to 20 minutes a game, but he's not a guy you can run out there and play 30 minutes plus. So I think that's kind of that's done. That's not gonna. It's not championship player. 690. Oh,
Oh,
Pujols. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
hell yeah, dude. I'm really pulling for that to one. It's gonna be quite the because it's I mean quote unquote last guy who's done it right. No offense to Pujols, but I got to protect my man Bonds with that home run record. But I am looking forward to Pujols getting to 700, and I hope he gets to do it in St. Louis in front of those loyal fans as well. But we're gonna get into baseball real quickly here, drunk. I know you'll be having fun with that. But
Let's,
can we talk? T, we didn't get a chance to talk about what broke on Monday, the biggest news here in the Bay Area. We didn't get a chance to talk about it. Jimmy G back with the
oh
Niners.
my. That's not
They
man.
couldn't get rid of him.
That's not
They couldn't
news.
get rid of him.
Don't you got a box of stuff sitting in your attic right now? That's what that
Me
is.
personally,
Yeah, I
no.
mean, I'm just saying. I'm
Oh,
just saying. I mean, that's what Jimmy G is right now. Jimmy G is the old stuff that you can't get rid of. You know what I mean? And so I feel like the Niners were put in a position where he's like just like I talked about the Lakers with Russell Westbrook, and they you got to hold on to him because there is another place for the guy to go. And we talked about this before. B Jimmy G has the highest value to the 49ers and no other team. And so I think having him on the squad as a backup during the Trey Lance saga, they're going to need him in case something happens where Trey Lance get injured or the guy just comes out and falls flat on his face. But I think the biggest thing with this is it puts a lot of pressure on the young man because it doesn't give him a clean slate. If he starts playing bad, you better believe that fans are going to start clamoring for. We've seen this before. They're going to start clamoring for Jimmy G to play more minutes, get more plays.
I think Drunk has hit it perfect. You have hit it perfect. This move protects the Niners in every aspect because they cannot allow this season to get lost without being in playoff contention here. This is Trey Lance is taking that away from him, but you got to understand. We've said it and we've said it again, and I will continue to say it. This is a Super Bowl or now team. This is it. This is it for them. The window is getting smaller. You're turning the hands. You're turning the keys of this team to a young kid. That pressure's got to be there. So that's already there in its own right.
Right.
But then the whole Jimmy G thing came up, and I just want to touch outlines on it, just as far as how funny this situation is for all of my Niner fans here. You guys, Jimmy G said goodbye in his press conference. He said it's been real, appreciated, thank you very much. And then he has the surgery. After the surgery, they can't trade him. All these quarterbacks are signing monster contracts except for him, but it's he was still there. They allowed him to still stay in the facility. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
then now training camp hits, and they're sitting. He looks really not changing on that team there.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, there's no more moves to be made. The Browns don't even want him because they know they're going to suck, right?
Yeah.
So now that fell to the wayside,
Right.
and now the Niners realize, hey, we don't have a backup quarterback. This may be our best option here, so we're going to hold on to Jimmy G. But Drunk's got some chat here. He's right. A real job's got to open up for Jimmy G here, but this is technically even Drunk. Even if the Niners start 2-2. And Trey Lance isn't really being Trey Lance as everyone is anticipating, Jimmy G is going to get the start. I have him starting in week 8. That's just personally me. Because that's halfway to the season. I think he's the starter by week 8 here. If they're not leading the division.
All I can say is that I hope that I hope that their coach is ready and has a plan in place to help him with very simple plays that he can look good with, makes the correct throws, 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 throws, to really get himself and earn a lot of confidence as a starter. And he's definitely going to have to make plays with his legs for sure, especially to start the season. Because if he comes out and like I said, if he falls flat on his face, let's say they go 500 the first couple of games, it's really going to depend on how well he plays. So like Drunk, like you said, 0-4, but like B said, let's say they go 2-2, but for some reason Trey Lance is only averaging a buck 50 in passing yards a game. He's not really putting up touchdowns. He's throwing interceptions, but your running game and your defense is leading the charge like they've done before, and they've helped and have helped you win games. There's still going to be some clamoring for this guy's head. And I think that's just the way it's going to be because, like B was saying, it would be different if they were a bad team and this is their new starting quarterback and we know there's going to be some up and downs. But the Niners really think they have a chance to compete and play in the playoffs and compete for a Super Bowl. And so that puts a ton of pressure on the young man. And I don't know if he can. I don't know if the dude's going to be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? And this really is a sticky situation. These transitions from one quarterback to another for franchises are really difficult to do, and generally when you do it, you got to get rid of the old guy, and this time they didn't. So I don't know, man.
Here's what cracks me up the most. Everyone wanted him out so badly,
Yeah.
And then on Monday when he comes back, yeah, this is a great move for the Niners.
Right.
These are the same people who wanted him out. So you know what that tells me? You as a fan base still don't have trust in Trey Lance.
Right.
That's just the truth there. Because if that was the case, then this shouldn't be a discussion. Now all of a sudden it's a good move on the Niners' half. Like, get out of here with that.
So Drunk.
Be the best. What y'all rate?
Yeah.
Jimmy?
So I'd rank Jimmy, just in response to you, Drunk. I would give Jimmy a 6 or 7. I'd say a 7. So I think he's the average, slightly above average quarterback. I give him credit for being in playoff games and winning games, and he had a couple of big moments in winning games too. So I can't take that away from him. I think he's better than Kirk Cousins, So for whatever that's worth, a guy who's making a considerable amount of money and has been a starter for a little while now. So I say a 7.
I'll go one above you. I'll say 8.
Okay.
I'll say 8 because he can manage a game. When you look at a lot of quarterbacks in the league, what is the main goal? Get to 10 yards, right? Get a first down.
Yeah,
What is
exactly.
what is Jimmy's strength? Within 1 to 10 yards,
That's it. Yep.
he allows the playmakers to do their job. You know when he's not Jimmy is when they're asking him to throw a ball 50 to 60 yards.
That's
That's not his.
it's not his game. Yep.
So why are you going to have him throw that? So you're asking him to do a little more. They're going to say, oh well, he's an NFL quarterback, but every quarterback has a different style. There's not a lot of quarterbacks in the league that could throw the deep pass with accuracy. So why
Right.
not stick to that 1 to 10 slant, the West Coast offense, and let your playmakers go out there and do their job? That's
Do
why
the
you have
rest.
them there. All he
That's
has got
right.
to do is just manage that. So, I think he doesn't get the love and support that I think he deserves as a quarterback. But um, Drunk, I'll ask this to you. You can answer this in the chat. But um, he's yes, that is a huge difference because we're going from average to elite, and I'll be the first one to say it. Within that time frame, I think he's elite. During that time, he's done a lot more than a lot
Elite.
of other
I
quarterbacks
don't know
have
about
done
elite.
in the NFL. So that's just my point. But Drunk, if Jimmy G is to start this year, in what week does he start? And T, you can answer that too.
Oh well, so if he does start, I think we're going to see in about halfway through the season, so roughly about the sixth or seventh game. A
Okay.
lot of it's going to depend on how they start off, man. If they come out on fire, obviously nothing's going to change. But obviously, you run that risk where if they come out and they're 500, I think you start hearing some of the, you know, some of the noise. So what's really going to have to work is one, they're going to have to be above 500, and two, when they're above 500 or at 500, he's going to have to be a key contributor to their wins. Meaning they can't be just winning games because your defense made a stop and you're winning these games 13-6, or the guys only scoring or putting up one TD pass in 2 weeks of football every other game. So he's
Yep.
going to have to be a key contributor to his team offensively.
Drunk says week 6 by then.
Sounds about right.
Yep. I would say that. I would say that too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pull up the Niners schedule to see their first 6 games to see if they can even get to that point. I hope they
Yeah.
don't. Well, I
They,
hope they finish. I hope they stay at 500.
they just might, man. They just might. We'll see. But that defense was always good, and they had a good running game. They brought back Debo Samuel, so you got some pieces there. You got, you've got a great tight end. I mean,
So
there's some positives there, definitely.
let's let's look at it like this. So there's at Chicago, and then at home against Seattle, on the road at Denver, the Rams at home, and then the Panthers and the Falcons. So those are the first 6 games there. And realistically, their toughest teams will. I'm gonna say them with confidence: Broncos and the Rams. Those are their 3 tough games there.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
they have to be 4-2 before the Jimmy noise starts talking. If they're 3-3, you're gonna hear the Jimmy talk happening because after that, Chiefs, Rams, Chargers, Cardinals, Saints.
Yeah.
That is a big stretch of 3 games right there. If they're not 4-2 and they're only 3-3, here comes the Jimmy talk right there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And drunk
So,
chiming in with Trey Lance don't got to be great, but he can't be losing games on picks. Yeah, I agree. I agree. But then he's gonna have to. Sometimes it's not even a picks. It's just we've seen how tough it's been to be a quarterback in the 49ers roster. I mean, your boy Garoppolo misses one pass in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, and he's been grilled ever since. So, he's gonna have to make plays for sure, and that's how I see that working
yeah.
out. If he makes plays, no problem. He at least needs to be able to, as B mentioned earlier, manage the game. And if he can do that and let the defense prevail, hey, he can make it happen. Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree. It's going to be, he's going up against gunslingers of the AFC West because all the AFC West quarterbacks are legit.
Yeah.
Wilson, Carr, Herbert, and who the fuck?
Yeah.
Who else am I
Don't
missing?
don't come to Vegas now.
Oh, Patrick Mahomes. How can I forget about Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, yeah,
Jesus
the
Christ.
best of them all. Yeah. So yeah, anything in the AFC West is going to be a tough matchup for any team. So AFC West is going to be one of the most competitive conferences or divisions that there are. So yeah, yeah, and unfortunately, they pulled that straw this year, so it's going to be tough sledding for them.
Hey man, good luck to
And I
them.
want to talk about we'll talk about
But
another well, an ex Niner, and this is more for fun, more so than anything else. Your boy your boy Terrell Owens, shredded. I'm talking shredded. 50 some years old, out there running for. What did he run? A 4.48 40-yard dash.
it was like a 4.8 in the 40-yard dash against young kids.
So,
Young
I mean, my
kids.
man out here. First, it was the push-ups in the driveway. Now he's running. Now he's running at your kid's high school. I mean, can somebody please get the man a job? Could you really see now? And this is like almost this. I was joking about it earlier, but this is a real question. Do you think 50-year-old To could get a few snaps in the league and be successful?
Yes. Yes. By all means, get your popcorn ready because some GM needs a wide receiver and said, you still got this, huh? Would you invite him to a workout?
Yeah, I mean, if I were a team that was hurting in the wide receiver area, yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, we got some pretty dumb franchises out there. Cleveland Browns being number number one. I
They
mean,
need a wide receiver
hey,
too.
there you go. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm telling you. So I mean, I gotta say, for a 50-year-old man, the man looks in incredible shape. He looks like he's in good shape. He can
Mm-hmm.
still run. He's looking better than I do. I can tell you that right now. And
Yep.
obviously he got a lot of child support payments to make, so he's out there, you know, trying to find ways to earn money. Can't blame him for that either.
He's running out of cash.
He's running out of cash. Yes. Oh man. So yeah,
Drunk
no, I
says, "Wait, what
Jackson
was that,
State.
T?"
Yeah, no. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Nah, Jackson State will bring him to coach the wide receivers. Can you imagine
That'd be tight.
Dion and Terrell
I,
Owens
I would love that.
in one area?
I would love that. You know
You
how
know,
good
we
that
didn't get a
is
chance.
for
We didn't get a chance to talk about that
yeah. You know how great
recruiting.
that would be for recruiting.
Oh my God!
I mean, them two guys, you got one guy who's going to take his shirt off and be like, bro, I can run faster than you right now. I'm 50 years old. I'm going to show you how to be the best wide receiver in the league. What you going to do about that? At least Dion is
Bro,
old and fat. You can't say that. Well,
but Dion could talk that talk
yeah, no,
still,
he can.
though.
He can. He can.
Dude, those practices would be ultra
Oh, man. They will be
competitive.
on television.
Woo!
That's Hard Knocks HBCU edition. HBC edition. Oh, man, that'd be great, man. I would love to see that. I've
I
really
would love to
enjoyed
see
watching
T.O. still
Dion.
be a tight end.
Yeah, I enjoy watching Dion on TV and seeing him represent his school. I think he's done a great job with trying to promote, promote Jackson State. So I think you're on to something, drunk. I think what you need to do is we need to get Dion on the phone and say, hey man, you need to call To, tell him he need and bring him in.
Yeah, dude, and that's right. Dion's son is the quarterback over at Jackson
Yeah,
State too. And so, hey, Jackson State may be a team that we talked about it earlier, talk about college football and whatnot. Jackson State's the 17th ranked team in the nation,
wow,
and they pulled recruits from big time schools. I think they stole some from Alabama, from Notre Dame, and they got them over to Jackson State. And there was one reason why, and that was Deion
that's right.
Sanders. I think had a lot to do. I think the culture that he's brought to that school, um, the swag that these kids like to say nowadays. You know what I'm saying? I think him bringing that to Jackson State and them being good at the same time it draws some recruits. So I think that's a pretty big thing for him to do. Um, I can see Terrell Owens as a coach there. Pulling having popcorn celebrations on the
Yeah,
sideline.
yeah, man. Hey, look, I'm all for it. I mean, one, it's a historically black college, and you just don't get a lot of publicity whenever you're a small school like that. And obviously, the athletes that run the league at this point are African American. So, if you can find a way to marry those two things together and start pulling some of the best college African American athletes into historically black colleges, then it really gives you an opportunity to elevate your program and really give kids another place to go where they're not simply churned out the same way they are at Alabama and everywhere else. You know, HBCUs are at least built to give you a college education, and at least kind of there to offer that focal point. Versus when you go to some of these big schools, hey, them dudes is out there, getting in fights. I remember the story about the dude robbing somebody's house or something like that, and the school covered up for
Oh,
him. So they do a lot of things that are a little underhanded. So it's good to see a situation like that where Dion's holding folks accountable, but also promoting promoting his program. So I hope to see more situations like that.
yeah. And he's doing his way, and he's doing it his way too, which is really
Yeah,
nice to see. There, it's a different style. Um, hey, just with the little time that we have left, I do want to baseball.
yeah,
We're getting into the pennant chase here. This is probably the most exciting time for baseball here because all those close races are coming down to an end. Um, Drunk kind of touched base it on already. There's one milestone we want to see, and that is Albert Pujols get to 700. Um,
5 away.
with that there, the demise of the Yankees has been amazing. They went from being one of the best teams who can't win in a baseball game, and their season's just like exploding right in their face. So all the Yankee fans and their short little white beaters and their accents are losing their fucking marbles right now. This is amazing here. But I kind of want to just my boy Brandon Belt, a giant. He's been a staple of the Giants since the championship runs. He's about to have his like 800th knee surgery. Um, Probably calling it a career, man. I hate to see something like that happen to him, but yo, man, it's just hard to watch a man run around the bases when his knees are like don't even want to move, but it's just his shins and his thighs are the only thing moving outside of his knees, which is like the most important thing um for you to have move here. So, Brandon Belt as the Giants fan, thank you for what was it, 10 years in the orange and black, but man, dude, this surgery is going to just derail his season. I swear to God, if the Giants bring him back for one more year, I'm going to, I'm going to, I'm going to lose my brain here in a second. I'm going to be protesting outside of Oracle Park, saying retire
Exactly. With the
every time he
retirement
walks
sign.
into the park. Brandon Belt is still, you wouldn't know because of all that this year, but Pujols has been in the league longer, but it does feel like that though. Big old tall ass giraffe, not having ass, no kneecaps, all that other good stuff. Um, but that was just my little rant there on that. But T, before we cut off, we got to talk about one of your favorite athletes, one of the goats of
Yep.
this generation in athletic world, Serena Williams,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
She's done.
So I
This is
mean, I
it.
gotta I gotta really kind of give kudos and kind of chime in on this because I've been watching Serena and Venus Williams since they had the braids on, back in the day when they were first competing at 16 and at 14 years old. Two sisters who were from Compton, California, and took over the tennis sport, took the tennis sport on by storm and really changed the game, brought more eyes to the game, brought more money to the game to the point that the women tennis players are making almost the same as what the men players are because they're that much of a draw. And Serena Williams, I think, goes unnoticed in American soil. There's been a lot of talk, and we talked about it a lot when we had your boy Alfred, when we kind of talked about women's sports and some of the comparisons and the WNBA and all this kind of stuff, right? But I really think that as a whole, we're skipping over one of the greatest women's athletes to ever play in the world because she's
Mm-hmm.
competing on a world level. She's not just competing um, in America. And I really think that people need to take a hard look at that. I've watched Serena Williams with the straight Mamba mentality come back from sets down to win championship matches. She's willed herself through injuries to win tournaments. She's a completely one of the best competitors I've seen when you talk about just the willpower to get through stuff. and to take huge losses and come back and then win again. Having a child, coming back and still being able to compete at a high level.
Yep.
She's, in my opinion, she's probably the greatest women's athlete of all time, and I think people need to really take note of that. You know, there's a lot of talk about equality, there's a lot of talk about this and about that, but I rarely hear people talk the name of Serena Williams in the way I think it needs to be talked about. And I think that's unfortunate. I think we care too much about not being. We care too much about what people are saying and the equality and blah blah blah. We're not taking the time to really give kudos to the people that are actually driving the ship. Okay, not
Yeah.
not the sofa folks. You know, not the keyboard warriors. You know what I'm saying? The social media ninjas, not them. I mean, like the people that are actually doing it. And Serena's not doing it just because she's a woman. She's doing it because she knows she's the best athlete out there and competes at the highest level of the game. And so, yeah, so kudos to her. And I hope people understand that if you didn't get a chance, you should have been watching her. She is she is the best player in her sport and was for a very, very long time. There are very few other athletes that you'll see across the span of that period of time compete at the level that she's been able to do it. And so all I gotta say is, kudos to Serena for being a little, young black girl from Compton and accomplishing her goals and dreams and where she is today. And America, y'all full of crap. Y'all should have been supporting this girl a lot more than y'all did from the moment she came into the league. Came into tennis at 14, 16, her and her sister. There should have been much more emphasis on her signature shoes, all that. All these little girls out here should have, if they needed somebody to watch to understand what it meant to be best woman athlete, you don't need to look at Brittany Griner. She don't make no money. You need to look at Serena Williams.
Yeah, dude, you hit everything on the head about that and about Serena Williams in our past here before we started this show here and what she's done to revolutionize tennis. But the story, like, really understand the story that she came from
Yeah,
to get to
yeah,
where she was at. You want to talk about an athlete that should have been branded more than any other athlete out there on the women's side. This was your athlete to really do that. She broke a lot of barriers in tennis. Outside of that, there's not a lot of African American tennis players out there as it is.
right,
Tennis is one of those sports where it's not expensive, where you don't have to pay a whole lot to really do it. There's accessible courts, equipment. It run you about $30, and then you could get out there and play tennis. So what she was able to do for that there, really, the only time it's been spotlighted is now.
right.
It is way too late for that. She should have been spotlighted the minute she was winning championship after championship after championship. That should have been a flag to tennis going, hey, this is our market right here. Let's surround it. Can you imagine the swan song that she would have gotten if she was really that person
Right,
that they had marketed?
right,
It would have been bigger than what they gave
right.
her this past week.
Instead, we're talking about a league that doesn't even pull a profit. Serena Williams makes more money than the entire WNBA because she pulls a
Yep.
profit every year. Let's not be silly. Serena Williams is the reason that women in tennis make the same as men do, is because of her. It's just like the Tiger Woods effect. If she's out there, you making money. So like I've always thought that. I've watched her again. I've watched since her and her sister have been on the court, and I think it's just America has missed a great opportunity to celebrate someone who's done something great, and we won't realize it until 10 years later. So I
Yeah.
don't want to hear all this crap from all these people who are either call themselves feminists or call them whatever about sports. Because if you were for real, like you say you were, then this woman would not. We wouldn't be talking about her swan song. We would just be talking. We would have been celebrating her from day one. She would have had statues already. She would have had courts named after her already. You know what I'm saying? So again, I could go on and on, man. But I'm really tired of, I'm really tired of hearing people talk about problems, but then they don't celebrate the people that have paved the way.
Yeah. Yeah, and Drunk's right. She could have been the female
Yeah,
MJ
absolutely.
of that time
Yeah,
there. And we all see how we put MJ on that mountain there. She should have been standing right next to him for all female athletes. WNBA, soccer, all of that. That was your female athlete of the generation there. So,
yeah,
um, yeah, man. Hey T, we gotta clip that. We gotta get that out there.
Oh yeah,
For
yeah.
for
I
what you
appreciate
spoke.
it, drunk. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. He said no. Naomi Osaka. Yeah, Naomi Osaka's good, man, but she ain't got that Mamba mentality, brother. And that's the difference, man.
Nope.
Serena had that Mamba mentality. She was gonna get it regardless. You know what I mean? Naomi doing clothes and all kind of other stuff, man. She dating rappers and stuff. She ain't got. She ain't even. She ain't on it that hard,
Nope.
man.
Well, hey man, we appreciate the love and support here. T, I don't know if you got anything else. My sports world is covered for
No, that's it,
this
man.
weekend.
That's all we got. Till next time.
Appreciate it, drunk. Shoot us that email. You have our email address. Let's get you on here, man. You one of our supporters that holds it down with us. So please make sure you get that email over to us. Let's get you on here, man. We would love to have you on here, man. You bring a lot for us here, so we really appreciate that.
All right. All right, y'all.
All right, y'all.
Late.
Enjoy your Labor Day, y'all.
Yeah, happy Labor Day.